So I'm here today with my friend Bob, and behind us is his 1970 Chevy Chevelle SS. Now Bob, you've owned the car for a really long time, 44 years to be exact, and you came across it in the spring of 1972.
I actually was 21 and I had just wrecked my other car, so I was in need of a car desperately. I had a friend who owned a Sunoco gas station, and he had one of his customers who was in the Air Force and he was being deployed. And lo and behold, what he had was a 70 SS Chevelle, the 454 LS6, which I always dreamed of having, and that's how I initially heard about the car.
So Bob, an arrangement was made for you to meet with that original owner, so you jumped in your car and you headed up to a parking lot in Rosemont, but you made sure to bring someone special to kind of help with the transaction.
Yes, Matt, I brought my dad. That's what you did in those days. I was 21, so I brought my dad, and when he saw the car, he goes, "Bobby, this car's a lot to handle, and plus it's a 4-speed, and you're not that good at 4 speeds too." And additionally, the original owner had made additional modifications to the car via headers, a manifold, electronic ignition, wheels. So my dad wasn't too happy with seeing the car right there, but we got the deal done. Except my dad did drive it home.
So for those first couple of years, Bob, how'd you use the car?
I was a daily driver. I was going to school, and I had 2 different jobs. I was dating, so pretty much I drove it all year long. So I was hesitant to race it because I figured if I blew it up, how was I going to do all this stuff? So I really just did street racing.
So Bob, you were enjoying the car, but then 2 major issues kind of arose that forced you to stop driving the car. What were they?
Right. Well, first it was the gas crisis of the mid-'70s when you had to make appointments to get gas. It got literally that bad. So I thought, I've got to get a car with higher gas mileage. So I happened to get a Volkswagen. So the Chevelle was ended up being just a weekender then. And then when that went on, I got married in '76, and one thing led to another. I had kids, and I was driving less and less. Jump all the way to 1972. I'm moving from a house 3 blocks away from my current house, and I'm having trouble starting the Chevelle, and I forced it, and I ended up frying the wiring. So I ended up pushing it 3 blocks to my new house, putting it in the garage, throwing a car cover over it, and saying I'll work on it next week, except next week ended up being over 20 years later.
So Bob, finally in the spring of 2015, you were ready to start that project, and you recruited some family members to help.
Right. Both my sons, my son-in-law Mark and Phil, had been bugging me for years, come on, let's get it running again. So I had their help, and I also had the help of my 3 grandkids, Gabby, Rocco, and Lily. Which they would polish chrome, they would clean the engine bay when we pulled the engine out, they would pretty much do anything and everything, and they were actually enjoying it. I thought they'd kind of be turned, but they were enjoying helping Grandpa make the car run again.
So Bob, along the way to getting the car back on the road, you came across some old memories that got rekindled.
Yes, Matt, it started when I pulled the car cover off and I saw a Chicago City sticker from 1974. Then I realized that was when I had moved out of Chicago to Elmhurst. And then after that, as we were cleaning it further, I had one rule in my car: nobody smokes in it. Nobody but one person, my best friend Brian. Well, while we were cleaning it out, I opened the rear ashtray and his cigarette butts were in there from 30, 40 years ago, and I've left them there. Additionally, I also, underneath the seat, found a ticket stub from one of the drive-ins we used to double date to. So I was getting a rush of emotions just starting cleaning the car.
And that rush really continued when you had a really special phone call just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
That's correct, that's correct. Mark and I have been trying to track down the original owner. Well, lo and behold, Mark somehow tracked his relatives down, got a message. He sent me an email saying how much he missed the car, how it was his favorite car, and in addition told me some stories I didn't know, that when he was up in North Dakota at the base, the military base, they would let them race on the taxiway to the runways on Sundays when nobody else was there. So the car had never been raced at an official strip, but had been raced on a taxiway on an Air Force base.
So that explains some of those modifications
That's
that
correct.
Your dad wasn't
That's
too thrilled
correct.
about.
No,
made a lot of sense. Well, thanks, Bob, for sharing your story.
Yes, thank you.
And if you want to see more classic recollections just like this, go to dailyherald.com.